Time for Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by Elevate Women's Health Center in Port Perry and chiropractor Shawna Dingman, Port Perry's only chiropractic and functional health care center focused on women, children, and babies. Don't let health concerns hold you back. Dr. Shawna Dingman, chiropractor and functional health care practitioner since 2000. And joining Shawna and myself is Scott Campsall, who joins us every Thursday as well. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Dan. It's Wednesday.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just seeing, are we getting enough oxygen? It was your early test. Also join with Shawna. Otherwise, it'd be Wellness Thursday. It just doesn't roll. No, it doesn't roll off the tongue. Yeah, so you've passed your first test. Congratulations.
Yay!
Yeah, no belt for that, by the way.
No.
I got one at Walmart for you if you want. If you really need something.
1995, wasn't that a Karate Kid thing?
Yeah, it's a karate. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Mr. Miyagi. Listen, we want to talk about the kids going back to school, obviously. There's a lot of anxiety about it. But, Shawna, you want to take a little different tact than just dealing with that anxiety of going back into the classroom. And it's dealing with, making sure that the kids are mentally ready by being physically ready and keeping them moving. And you made a great point. I saw the email about the fact that it's not going back to school in the normal way, especially physically.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that we need to think about. This time of year, I've got 3 kids, and I think like just about every other mom in our area with kids going back to school, we're thinking about scheduling, and especially with the kids basically not having been in school for, 5 months. My kids stay up ridiculously late right now, so I'm already thinking about, okay, how do I reel back in those bedtimes, thinking about what are we going to be packing in the lunches, all the usual things that we think about, back to school supplies, do we need indoor shoes or do we not, all those things. But I think that there are a couple of things that as parents we need to be aware of that will not come up on our radars, and that is the fact that because the kids are wearing masks, and because their level of normal activity, say at recess or in gym, is not going to be what it usually is, we're dealing with kids' brains that are going to be, for lack of a better way of saying it, they're going to be less oxygenated. They're going to be breathing in that's a hard one to say on a Wednesday, deoxygenated air.
Well, thank goodness it's a Wednesday and not a Thursday, right? So.
Right? Can you imagine if it was Thursday?
I know, that'd be crazy.
And they have less physical activity to combat that. So as parents, I think it's really important that we have some kind of a plan in place to make sure that we are being really intentional about their physical activity, not just for their own mental health and their physical well-being just as far as staying fit, but also making sure that we're getting as much extra oxygen to the brain to combat what's going to be happening through the school day.
So there's 2 aspects to that. One is the fact that they're going back to a school situation that is going to be totally different than they're used to. Yes. So that physical component is not going to be what it used to be. But also having gone through what we've gone through, their March break began at March break and is just ending now. And we were in lockdown mode. So in a lot of cases, kids weren't getting that physical activity. And in many ways, are they that much further behind in even going back to school, even if they were going back to a normal situation?
Well, I can only tell you what I've seen clinically over the summer. The last 2 months have been probably some of the busiest 2 months in my whole career for practice. Usually July and August are very quiet because lots of people leave for holidays. But what I've seen happening is lots of adults and kids coming in with pain, back pain, neck pain. I check posture. We do a complicated postural assessment on every new patient when they come in. And one of the big things that we're seeing is really massive postural changes in kids. And in some cases, when we take x-rays, we're looking at structural changes in the spine that, I think I said this last month when we were talking about posture. We never used to see this 10, 15 years ago. So I think for some kids, the pandemic has created a situation where they spend way more time sitting on a couch or in a gaming chair, gaming or watching Netflix or whatever the case is. And it's really had a massive effect on their physical fitness, on their posture, and the posture itself affects their mental well-being, because when you're in that kind of slouched over posture, you're much more likely to suffer from anxiety, worry, panic, all of those things that put you in a fight or flight state of mind. Whereas when you're out playing, it helps to tap into the parasympathetic system, which is your relaxation. So getting the kids physically active through school is going to help all these things. And I think it's a really good time. Like typically September is a good reset time for all the routines that we have. This is a good time to be able to say, okay, and I know we're doing it with our kids, enough of the gaming. We're setting limits again on what's going to be allowed weeknights, and they're going to have to be showing us that they are doing something physically active in order to, for lack of a better way of saying it, to earn their screen time during school.
I was going to ask you about that because it could be in some situations a hybrid situation as well. So there is an in-class component, but there's going to be some at-home learning as well. So there you are, back at a computer again. Is there a way that you might have a tip or some advice in getting some kind of component of physical activity before they get to the, to sit at the computer, or stretches or something that they can do?
Well, one of the things that I really recommend for everybody is you can put apps on your phone or on your laptop or on your Chromebook or whatever it is that remind you every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever it is. You get to set the reminder, but you can set it to remind you basically to get up and stretch. So, for all the high school kids who are going to be learning in a hybrid model, or if they've chosen, my daughter has chosen to learn virtually. She's in grade 11, so she's going to be at a computer all day, every day. So that's one of the things that they can do. They can sit, they can stand, they can move around. Just because they're in front of a screen doesn't mean that they have to be in a sustained posture. So making sure that when they get their breaks, they take the dog for a walk. They go and check the mail. They, go and just do something where they can stretch out, put a yoga mat beside their chair. So every time they get up, they can do a couple of down dogs and, sun salutations, those kinds of things that will just combat how they've been sitting, and making sure, if they're in high school, for example, the high school times have been shifted. So Jenna's school, if she was going to O'Neill, her start time is 10 o'clock. So there's lots of time they can get up and have a workout, have a run, have a bike ride, have something before school.
Karate.
Karate's good. Karate's good. Actually, I was ready to jump in a bunch of times and just throw that word out.
Karate. Just
karate.
In the background. It'll just be something in the background. It'll be subliminal. So,
we were going to talk about ideas. So
yeah,
we're looking at, what is our family doing to make sure that we can set the kids up with regular physical activity that has some variety. So I just wrote down a bunch of the ideas that we have in our family. And so a karate membership is a great one. It's easy to social distance. Right, Scott?
It's true. It's absolutely a great one.
So,
I'll just sit here and just every once in a while, I think that'll work out for us.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, is this is only recently you can do this. Otherwise, everything was virtual. And I think that's probably playing on some parents' minds, too, because, the tried and true, okay, it's fall, we do this, this, and this. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
But we went virtual, but we were still moving them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like that's a really cool point that Shawna had about even just setting up a timer and just like when you're online, you can move. But I've seen students that even when they've come back into our dojo or studio and like you can move better. Like it definitely makes a difference when you've got the space and you've got the environment and you've got somebody who's standing, socially distanced, but still in the same room with you that pushes you. Like I think you definitely move better in that kind of environment. I agree with everything Sean is saying about the oxygen and trying to get people active. What I noticed a lot was just even the social. That yes. Kids could go out and actually see other kids in the same room and talk to them, and we've had a couple of situations even with other parents where they're humming and hawing about whether they're going to put kids in activities and stuff like. And my only answer to that is for 5 months these kids have been locked down, and some of them haven't been able to see their friends. They've lost their de-stressors, so to me, I obviously I'm going to push karate, but it could be anything. It could be like anything that involves being with kids and being active with other kids and just something like it could be an arts and crafts thing if that's what de-stresses them. But I think even just the mental aspect of doing an activity is really important.
Well, I know, Shawna, you talk about your family mountain biking as well.
Yeah, we moved to Port Perry about 2 months ago from Sunderland, and we're not that much closer to the Durham Forest than we were in Sunderland, but there's something about being just that little bit closer. We've been loving the Durham Forest. I mean, what a fantastic resource that we have so close to us. We're so fortunate to have the trails there. They're beautiful for hiking, walking, but mountain biking, we've absolutely loved getting on our bikes. It's a great way, and actually sometimes Craig, for example, my husband, he'll run with the dog and we'll go along on our bikes. So he runs the trails and we bike them. It's just a fantastic family activity, and it's something we can do with other families as well. And it's, again, so easy to social distance, but it allows the kids to, the kids will go off and they'll do their own little trails, their own little side trails. And it's just great to hear them having a great time and being able to hang out with each other. So mountain biking has been a really fun thing to do.
Now,
really recommend that.
Did I read it right? Did you write on your email that your son's already looking into the winter and talking about ski passes and things like that?
Yeah, so Cole is 12 and a half. He's going into grade 7, and he's got a couple of buddies who ski. So, he has a couple of friends that he has seen through the latter part of the pandemic when things started to open up a little bit more. So I would say that, they're kind of, I guess, in our sort of bubble, if you want to call it. So those buddies, they are also skiers. One is taking up snowboarding. And so the moms basically got together and said, okay, what about ski passes? Because they're old enough. Our family skis too, but we can drop them off, and skiing can be a social activity for them. So I've just been in touch with Dagmar to see what are they doing this year about their passes, and they're just finalizing their pass rates and basically reviewing all the regulations and deciding how it's all going to play out. But our intention is that we're going to get the kids ski passes so that they can go over a couple of evenings a week and they can ski after school. And then if there's a PA days, they can ski on the PA days, and if hopefully it won't happen, but if school does get shut down, they can use their ski passes and they can go during the day.
Well, and I guess that's the question people are trying to figure out what to do and how it's going to be done as well.
Yeah.
And as you say, getting together with friends, whether they're in their bubble or physically distancing at least. And Scott mentioned this, even seeing them, that they're still around as well. And that really does help.
Yeah.
To me, it was like that was even virtually. It was good for the kids to interact, and we had a couple of situations where the kids were like finished their class and then they would start talking to each other, or they'd be even playing games. They wouldn't shut off. They wouldn't shut off Zoom. They would just stay engaged and talk. And we saw that definitely even with the fitness classes that the students that are doing that in the morning, and they would be just happy to see each other. But it is such a difference when they can actually be in the same room. It's very different.
I wanted to say when you were talking about that before, Scott, that, Cole has mentioned that many times, that he's just so happy the dojo is open again, because the kids that he does karate with, they're a whole other social group for him. He just couldn't wait to get back to see his karate friends, and he looks forward to these classes. He's 6 feet away from them at all times, but they're there. They're in the same room. They're chatting. They're talking. They're pushing each other. I don't mean physically pushing. They're like challenging each other to do better.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, that's right. So that is a big, big thing. And one of the things I have noticed, both of my kids have mentioned that they have anxiety around being around people now. And so getting kids out of the house and into something else where they are with other kids, but the protocols are there that they feel safe, I think it's so important in minimizing the amount of anxiety that they're going to experience when this whole thing is over, and hopefully someday we'll be able to take our masks off and shake hands and hug again.
I think the biggest thing we can take away from this is kids are getting set to school, and that anxiety, which can just happen any fall anyway, is that connection between physical and emotional well-being. And the thing that stuck out in our conversation this morning to me, you talking about how many patients you've had over this time, and how important it is that we try and get some physical aspect into our lives to try and help ourselves cope, because let's be honest, it's not going to be the norm, and we're going to have to figure out ways to pivot and continue moving forward.
Yeah, and why don't I take 15 seconds to just list off a couple of simple, easy things around the house that you can do that are not complicated, don't necessarily cost money, that you can get your kids moving with at all ages.
Does it start with cleaning Dad's car?
Yes,
okay,
definitely.
Good.
I hadn't thought of that. But,
there we go. We added to the list. Go ahead.
So things like hopscotch. Get the chalk out, put a hopscotch course on your driveway. Wrestle with the kids. My kids love to wrestle with their dad and pillow fights. Playing things like, what time is it, Mr. Wolf, or red light, green light, jumping rope, doing double dutch, playing tag in the backyard, having a game of manhunt, switching off playtimes with a couple of, again, if your kids have other kids that are kind of in their bubble, switch off playtimes with the other moms. So every Monday the kids come over to here at 4 o'clock, and every Tuesday they go to the next kid's house, and every Wednesday they go to the next kid's house. So switching it up so that you've got some different things going on. We have the Just Dance app. That is a ton of fun in the evening time where it looks pretty silly if you're looking in the window, but you're just dancing and trying, and some of them are good and some of them are really not good. So it's entertaining too. So things like that can be really simple.
Well, listen, Sean, we want to thank you for taking time to talk to us. And Scott, go ahead. Just say the word.
Wednesday.
No, karate.
No, karate.
Wow.
But it does bring up another question. I've always wondered this, Dan. Like, you stand behind your desk. Like,
yeah.
I noticed that one when I came in, is that there's no chair. You're standing up.
Yeah, I push it off. Yep.
Yeah. So I just wonder now, when the music's playing, are you dancing?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I also have my weights here, so sometimes I'm doing that.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have
That's
hand
awesome.
weights here. Yes. Here's the secret I can tell people. If sometimes it's a real short segment, it's maybe because I just put the weights down and I didn't quite calculate the time of recovery. And I'm running out of breath. And there's nothing worse than a DJ who passes out while speaking, especially when you're here by yourself. But and I think that physical aspect and what Shawna said, it is so true. I know, a stressful week last week and getting home and everything seemed so overwhelming and taking the dog for a walk by the lake. And it was like night and day. It really, really made a difference. So if let's all as parents, as kids, take that forward as we deal with some times that can be difficult. Shawna, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
And Scott, go ahead. One more time. You can say that word of...
Karate.
There you go. Listen, before actually, in all seriousness, you guys have offered up some specials. Is there a special on right now that people can take advantage of?
Oh yeah, we have startup packages. There's the cheapest one we've got is $69, and it includes a uniform, private class, and a 2-week trial. So the that's for kids and adults, and they can come in and they can try it out and get moving. Guys, thanks for the conversation this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is Shawna Dingman, again, Port Perry, chiropractor from Elevate Women's Health. You can get more at elevatewomen'shealth.ca for her email. And you can find more at her website, Elevate Women's Health. And also Scott Campsall from Okami Kai Karate.